Good morning, everyone. Hopefully, you can see me and hear me. I'm Tabitha with Tabs on Tap, episode 42. I missed quite a few in the 30 days that I was out on the campaign trail for Donald Trump. But anyway, I'm happy to be here and happy to get things going. This is not going to be my normal time at 11 a.m. I just wanted to throw this together today because I feel like there's things we need to talk about, and there's just so much going on as always, more than ever. So I wanted to jump in and talk about some things. Hopefully, some of you will be joining me today and we can cover some of this stuff. Clearly, some of the things I want to talk about today are the storms we've had: Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton. There's another storm forming right now down in the Gulf, from what I understand. I haven't looked into it that well yet. And, I want to talk about the manipulation that's going on, the gaslighting that's going on with our mainstream media, with, of course, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. There's so much gaslighting going on. It is insane. And no one has to tell me because I was in the Blue Ridge Mountains when all this began. Now, I was not in Asheville, I wasn't in that part of North Carolina, but I was very close to that area. And so I saw a lot with my own eyes. And I believe the people on the ground. And we're going to get into that. Good morning, Allison. Happy to see you as well. And, I don't know what's going to happen with the podcast. I don't know if I'll be back on next week on my normal schedule, Monday through Friday. As of right now, I'm planning on being back on the road on Sunday. So we'll see how that goes. There's still so much that needs to be done. We're going to talk about getting out the vote and what it means to get out the vote, what you can do, because trust me, there are certainly things you can do. I really wish I would have talked to Colonel Joe Adams and had him join me today, but I know he's super busy, and I wasn't 100% sure that all of my technical things would work out because I took my entire podcast setup with me on the road. And I was able to set everything up once when I was there, and that was the day we had to evacuate, just as I got it set up. And so then we had to leave, and it's just too hard to do it on the road on a regular schedule because we have to get up and get out and start getting things done. It's almost like a race against time. When you're out there, you get up and you hurry up and get your cooler packed, you get out on the road and try to get as many hours in as you can out there on canvassing. So we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about Elon Musk. Good morning, Tony, and all that Elon Musk is doing for our country. I can't get into the finer details of what we're doing out working for America PAC. I just can't get into that until after the election because I think we all know there are just some things we need to keep to ourselves for now. But after the election, if I'm have the ability or permission to do so, I definitely want to talk about some things. But I will tell you that Elon Musk has done so much for our country, and I hope you all appreciate him. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Uh, you know, Good morning, Zach. And yeah, I'm trying to tell the truth. We'll see what happens here. Again, so much going on. It's insane. But I'm glad to be home. I came home. We drove overnight. I guess I don't even know what day today is. I think today's Friday. So it'll be Wednesday overnight. It was about a 9-hour drive from where we were back here. I was with my son, of course, Zachary. And we got back here in the middle of the night, got a little bit of sleep in, and I feel like I haven't slept in 30 days the entire time I was gone. Not because I was out canvassing, 24/7 by any means, but it's just hard when you're out and, every couple of days you switch hotels or houses or whatever it may be. And let's see, Allison, October 19th is the Washington Guard muster. Wish you could come. I wish I could too, but I'm hoping to be back out on the road. I feel like there's still so much work that needs to be done. Good morning, Mandy. I want to talk about weather manipulation and all of again, the gaslighting that's going on. It's all intimidation. They want to tell you you're crazy. They want to tell you it can't be. How do you come up with all these crazy things? If you remember the debate with Harris and Trump, and she kept saying extreme, extreme, because they want people to think that, we are extreme. But what we are is factual. Sorry to say, but we are factual. And, I can't wait to talk about that. So good morning, Dottie. As so many of you know, I have my son and I left. We went out to Georgia. We for America PAC. We were canvassing across the state of Georgia. We started out in Ringgold, which I think is called, I think that's Catawissa County. We went from there up to the Blue Ridge Mountains. We were up there in Union County. And I'll tell you what, if you've never been up into the mountains, and I'm so glad that I had this experience, for so many different reasons. And one of those reasons would, well, two of those reasons are I learned the layout of the mountains, and that came so handy in understanding what took place after Helene. And being that I was in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I can kind of fill you in a little bit on what was happening in the days before Helene, and maybe that'll give you guys a little bit better idea of what took place. And I made a post about it on Facebook earlier also. And if I forget any topics, please let me know. I wrote zero notes. I have nothing written down because I just want to talk about certain things and I think I can remember them all. Let's hope. But when I was up in the Blue Ridge Mountains, one of the things that I learned is that there are people who live all over the mountain, all over those mountains. There's thousands of people up there and you don't know that they are there. And that's why I'm sure search and rescue issues, it's so difficult because we would drive down a road. Well, technically, it would be a driveway because you would go down this road that would be half a mile, 2 miles long. And a lot of it would be gravel or sometimes grass. Sometimes it would look like no one has driven, down this path in a really long time. And we would get all the way to the end and we would find, let's say, an RV or let's say a mobile home or sometimes a multi-million dollar home. You never know what you're going to find at the end of one of these roads. Sometimes we would drive down one of these long roads, very steep roads, I should add, and they're very dangerous. It's very treacherous driving. If we didn't have a Jeep, there is no way we would have made it to some of these homes as it was before the storm. And we would drive down these roads, and sometimes we would come out to these family compounds where there would be three, four, five, really small homes or sometimes larger homes, and where an entire family would live. And so there's a lot that you find. Good morning, Cindy. There's a lot you see up in the mountains. And so you have to understand that when people are trying to rescue people, or when you hear FEMA say we've reached everyone, it's absolutely not true. They have not reached everyone. It's going to take a long time to reach some of these people because you don't know they are there. And trust me, I do know because I would go off of, again, I don't want to get into what we're doing with the canvassing, but I have maps and addresses of every home. And I can't tell you how many times we'd go up and there'd be no home there, or we'd go up and three homes would be gone and one giant home was built. There's no solid way they can go up into these mountains and be able to map out where all of these people live. Not to mention the fact that there are so many homeless people in this area. Good morning, Eddie. There are countless homeless people. There's countless people who live on the trails. We have the Appalachian Trail that goes all the way through these mountains, and the day before Helene came through, we were down in we were staying in the mountains, but you have to come down from the mountain to get gas or go to the store or do anything else because not all the way down but to at least a little bit of a lower elevation. For us, that was Blairsville. Sometimes it was Hiawatha. There was different areas where we would come down. We were staying on the North Carolina side and then would just drive down the mountain to wherever we were going. And I think that people don't get the most of these people just do not get the layout, of the mountains. It's not what you think it is. And the day before Helene, there was a lot of things that happened the day before Helene, but some of you may have seen my Facebook post because I was talking about all of the people who had come down into Hiawatha the day before. It was raining. It had been raining for several days before Helene. And there was some type of weird cold front that came through. And it had, as a matter of fact, being new to that area, I kept thinking, does it rain here every single day? Because it rained every day we were there. And from what I understand from people there, that's very unusual for it to rain that much. In fact, talking to some of the locals, it hadn't rained in a really long time. And so everything was really dry. But that last day, right before Helene, we were in Hiawatha. We had already been evacuated from our cabin. I'll get into that. But we saw all of these people, hitchhiking, people going into stores. There was one guy who was selling crab apples. He was walking car to car and selling crab apples. And we finally, my son went into the gas station and asked, "What is going on? Who are all these people? What's happening?" And they told him that there were people who were leaving the Appalachian Trail. They don't have vehicles there, they have no way to get back. So we have all of these people coming out of the trails and trying to find a ride home, trying to find shelter, trying to find a way back to wherever their vehicle is. And it was pretty overwhelming to see it. And there was a company there in Hiawatha. Gosh, I wish I could remember the name. Outdoor trails, I believe, something like that. I'll have to go back and look. But they had a big sign up and they said, "Hey, if you're a hiker and you need to escape from the hurricane, if you want to stay, out of the weather, if you need a ride, if you need money, if you need food, come here and we will help you." And I really do hope some of these people found their way to this outdoor company, because I really wondered, like, what are these people doing? They're probably up in the mountains hunkering down, through the storm, because what else can they do? Most people when they're hiking, they probably don't have a lot of money with them. A lot of these people don't have money at all. They're just up there hiking. Some of them live up there. The number of homeless people that live up in the mountains is astronomical. There's a lot of people who live up there that no one even knows about. And I really do think that it's going to take a long time for us to know who is really missing, and how many people are actually missing. I'm still going to say it's in the thousands. I'm still saying that there are over 1,000 people missing, maybe 2,000 people missing. I know in one school district alone, there's 163 kids missing in one school district. Because when you go up into these mountains, there are entire communities along the river. And as these rivers, they were already at flooding capacity before Helene. And so think about this, that after that, these entire communities are gone. There, where a spot would be where there were 10 homes, after Helene, there were none. But it's not just about Helene. And so, hello, Paige. So, something that I want to get into is the days before Helene and what took place, and why I think that it was weather manipulation. Now, it's hard to say because you have to be there, of course, to see some of this play out. But I remember it raining, raining, raining. And, we joked about bringing ponchos, because as a matter of fact, the day we got there and canvas trained, it was raining. And, we headed out through Catawassa County and Ringgold, and it was raining. We drove up to Union County and it was raining. And we kept hearing the weather reports, of course, about Helene and the path, and we knew it would be coming through Georgia. And I'm gonna show you a video right now. This is the river that we were staying next to, just so you can have a little bit of context as to where we were. Thank you, crew. Good to be back. Let's look at this here. This is the river next to the cabin. As you can see, this is like a little patio area of the cabin, which, by the way, I'm going to be telling all of you guys about. Hopefully you'll check it out, because from what I understand, I believe it is still standing. So that was the river the day before. We were at this cabin in North Carolina, and thank God, the Airbnb owner, he messaged me. We knew the hurricane was coming. I just don't think we understood what exactly that meant for this area. And thank God the Airbnb owner did, because my son and I, we went out, we bought supplies, we had candles, we figured the power would go out. We thought, oh, the river will probably rise a little bit. We knew it had already risen, from the days of rain. And now, but we really thought we would just ride it out. Yeah, we'll lose power. We bought some non-perishables and candles, and we thought, oh, we'll be fine. We had a couple cases of water. And, and it was kind of a treacherous drive back to where this cabin was. And just, I don't think we just really thought about the danger that we could have possibly been in. And the Airbnb owner contacted me, and I didn't even see his message online. So he called me and he's like, "You need to see this message. You guys need to get out now." And I was like, "What? Well, okay." Like, why? What's going to happen? And he explained to me that if you don't get out now, you may not be able to get out. We don't know what's going to happen. Most likely the roads are going to be washed out. There could be massive flooding. You, who knows what could potentially happen, severe winds. But he made it very clear picture to us, I think, that if we didn't leave, we may not survive. And so at first we were kind of like, oh, okay, well, maybe we'll leave in the morning, before things get too crazy. He's like, no, I'll refund your money back. You need to go and seek higher ground, or I can't remember the exact terms. And thank God we did. And so we did. We took his word. We went back to the cabin. We packed up. We left and cleaned and left, I should say. And then we went back out canvassing, because that's what you do when you're on the road is you want to be out canvassing as much as you possibly can. So we just put everything in the car, went back out canvassing and thought, well, we'll find another house to stay at later or hotel or whatever, we might need. So we're out canvassing. This is again the day before Helene, the day before. And we're out canvassing and we go into this little subdivision. It's raining. It'd been raining for days. And we go into the subdivision, we canvass. It's a small subdivision, maybe 20 houses back there. We had like two houses out of 20. Came back around, and guess what? A tree had fallen and it had blocked the road. And we had to drive through someone's yard to get around this tree. And then we're driving, we're starting to see like small landslides and, nothing overly significant, but enough where we could see it. We saw trees coming down. We'd be driving down the road and a tree would fall. And we're like, okay, it's not safe for us to be out anymore. So we found a house up in Hiawatha. Well, it wasn't in Hiawatha, it was near Hiawatha. It was actually in Hayesville, North Carolina. And so we, got to that house through Airbnb, checked in, and my son was outside on the front porch, and he came in and told me, he's like, I can hear the trees falling. And we made sure that this house, that we rented didn't have any trees overhanging because the last thing we wanted was to, of course, have a tree come crashing through the roof while we're staying there. And we were, of course, looking at weather reports. And I put those weather reports on my Facebook page. But these weather reports were crazy. They were telling everyone that this is really going to affect the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Smoky Mountains. And the way they were explaining it, the weather that I heard, which was, by the way, not your local news. It was not the local news. It was just random weather reporters that I saw online. Some of them not even meteorologists, just people that understood weather and what was going to happen. And they said, expect thousands of trees to come down from the saturation. And if you know about the Smoky Mountains or the Blue Ridge Mountains, the mountains are very hazy. And I can post some pictures of that. But they were extremely hazy and that smoky vapor, around the mountains. We could barely even see, the day before Helene. And then what they explained is that when Helene comes through, something about the way that it was turning, the way that it was coming through Georgia, that would cause all of that vapor to turn into water and cause a massive tropical downpour. And that's what would cause the massive mudslides and the massive flooding. And there was a very dire prediction for that area. And thank God that the owner of that Airbnb called and told us to leave. We were just feet from the river, and this new place we found, thank God was safe. We didn't have any issues there, but that's just how this Helene was. And I don't believe for 1 minute that it wasn't manipulated, that this weather wasn't manipulated in some way. And the reason why I believe that is, for one, yes, it had been raining for days, but there was a local weather reporter that I was watching, and he told us, he's like, or he wouldn't tell us, he told everyone, the viewing audience, that this is not part of Helene. We have this storm system coming through. And he kept looking at it, and you could tell that, I mean, it came out of nowhere. And he even said it came out of nowhere. This storm system that came through, he said, has absolutely nothing to do with Helene. It is not like Helene has an outer band. It is nothing like that. This is just a cold front that's coming through. And that cold front saturated everything. And it brought rivers and lakes up to flooding capacity. So they were already at the brink of flooding before Helene. And then Helene comes through. And this is what's so strange. If you saw my Facebook post, you will see where the blue dot was, which is where we are. We were at the center line of where Helene came through. And where we were, I didn't hear any wind. There was no wind. There was just rain. It would be a real big downpour of rain, then nothing, then a downpour of rain, and then nothing. This pattern went on all night long. And as it continued, trees were just falling. We finally fell asleep and woke up in the morning, and While we at this property we stayed at did not have any trees down, all you could hear was chainsaws all day long, and the roads were blocked. You couldn't get out, and that's where we were. And then we started hearing the good morning, Lori, and Tara. We started hearing the reports of the devastation that took place in Asheville. And I mean, and not just Asheville. I know everybody wants to talk about Asheville, but it was all across the Blue Ridge Mountains, all across the Smoky Mountains. It was in Tennessee, it was in North Carolina, it was in South Carolina, it was in Georgia. It was the entire area, just a vast amount of devastation, not to mention southern Georgia in the Valdosta area, all through there where they had a different type of damage. They had more wind damage and power outages and power lines down. But what happened up in the mountains, I don't think you can prepare for that. We bought candles and batteries and flashlights and water and extra food and different things, but had we been in an area that was impacted by a landslide, none of that stuff would have helped us. Nothing would have helped. And I don't think there is an answer. I don't think there was anything any of these people could do to prepare. And what I'm really aggravated about is I watched Harris and Biden speak the other day. Harris, of course, a person we've never heard a word from ever in the past 3.5 years. Have we heard a word from her? No. Has she done anything she was supposed to do during this time? No. And now all of a sudden she wants to come out and talk about misinformation and talk about, the victims. If I were one of the victims of this, of Helene or Milton, I wouldn't want to hear from her. I wouldn't want to hear from Biden because what they gave these people $750 a piece. I think they gave it to them in a debit card, $750 each, and they only gave these debit cards to the people who owned the home. So think about that. If you owned a home by yourself, then your household got $750. If you have, let's say, a spouse and you both are listed as a homeowner, then each of you would have received $750. It's not $750 per person, it's per homeowner. There's been a lot of people who've been speaking out, if you know where to look, who said, you know what, I live with my parents and I didn't qualify for the $750 because the house is in their name. So $750, what is that going to get anyone? And it's a loan. When FEMA gives you money, it's a loan. Read the fine print. You have to pay it back. You have to pay that money back. Don't think that that's your money to keep because it's not. Good morning, Glasna. And so well, Tara says, I was watching Ryan Hall on YouTube and knew you moved into a danger zone. Yes, I didn't know. I don't think people there really, I don't think anyone expected it to be quite what it was. I really don't. And then to hear Harris and Biden talk about misinformation, and what really got me is they were telling people, don't listen to the people on social media. Only listen to FEMA or only listen to the authorities. I mean, I'm sorry to say, but the authorities are not always right. A lot of these people, FEMA people in particular, even the National Guard, they're not from these areas. They're there to help, thank God. People are there to help, but they're not from there. They don't understand those mountains any more than most of us, would or could. And I certainly have a little bit more of an understanding since being there, but even I don't understand. And we have these people coming in and we see, we see what's going on social media. Thank God for social media, quite honestly, because we see videos, we see the raging rivers, we see people crying because they've lost everything they have. We see the devastation, the entire community's wiped out. You'll have an entire line of homes that were just washed away. And guess what? Most of them are washed away with the people that were in them. We hear the reports from people on the ground. And I'm going to share one of those with you in just a few moments. And I wish I would have had time to upload more of these and share more of them with you, but that would be a much longer show. But to me, when I hear people who are on the ground, those are firsthand accounts. These people are there. They know their friends or loved ones are missing. They know that their home is gone. They know that their neighbor was in that home across the street, and now their home is gone and they can't be found. There are thousands of people missing. There are thousands of people who have been killed, and they just now finally started identifying some of the bodies. So I think some of these lists are going to change a lot. From what I understand, now this is not firsthand experience, or firsthand, I should say, hearsay, but I have heard that they do have at least 1,200 bodies that they have recovered, intact, mostly intact bodies, and that they are working their way down that list, identifying these people. And I belong to one of the groups of missing people, and I can see, every yesterday there were several people who were identified, and these were mostly people who were in their homes, because this happened early. Some of it happened in the middle of the night, some of it happened in the morning, some of it happened in the afternoon. These were people who were in their homes, who would never in a million, their home was their shelter where they thought they were safe, and never, I'm sure, did they imagine that they would be swept away, with their homes. And I really do think that some of these people will never be found, because you saw the damage that took place to some of these vehicles. I don't think these people will, some of them, again, will ever be found. There's what, 10 to 30 feet high piles of rocks and dirt and mud where there used to not be. And I think you guys can get the picture. So I don't want to get too graphic with what I think, but I will tell you one thing. When it comes to weather manipulation and them trying to tell you that we're all crazy for thinking it, we're not crazy at all. I remember I had a show back in 2013 when I talked about weather manipulation. That was in 2013, back when I think I was on 1380 back then. And at that time, that was when the United Arab Emirates first started cloud seeding, and they first started creating rain. And at that time, their goal was to create a tropical rainforest in the middle of the desert by cloud seeding. And they did, and they have. And now what they started back then is a thriving, tourism spot where it's beautiful and lush and green in the middle of the desert. So we know it's possible. Anybody who tries to tell you and gaslights you and tells you that it's not possible to manipulate these storms, it's an intimidation technique, and they're wrong. And I'm going to show you something, because we all know who Bill Gates is, and I think we all know he's got his little hand in everything. Remember, not too long ago we talked about how he is trying to create this it's a mist or a covering to where you take your airplanes up, speaking of chemtrails and that type of thing. And they basically expel these different types of chemicals. And when they do, it blocks the sun's rays from the earth. So he has already said that he has a program that blocks the sun rays. So of course, because he is a big climate liar, is what I would like to call them, saying that man is warming the earth, which is absolutely 100% not true. The weather is cyclical. That's real science, is that the weather is cyclical. We had an ice age, then the earth warmed, and then it reached a peak of heat, and then it started cooling again. And we're actually in the cooling phase of the earth, not the heating phase. We're in the cooling phase. And we will eventually have another ice age, and we will eventually warm up and have another heated period. That's the Earth's weather. You can ask any geologist that's not paid by their government, and they will tell you that they can study rock formations and dirt and other different types of things, and they can tell you the cyclical periods of weather. It is not man-made. Now, pollution, that's a whole nother story. We're certainly guilty of polluting our waters and polluting our soil and in our air and everything else. But that's different. That is completely different than affecting the weather or the climate of the earth. So Bill Gates created a system, and I'm going to show you a little video of this. He created a system in which he says he can make hurricanes less severe by cooling the water. So I'm going to play this clip for you, and you'll see where I'm going with this.
When you hear the name Bill Gates, you probably think Microsoft founder, but now the billionaire may be known as the hurricane tamer. Gates is listed as one of 13 inventors on a patent filed for hurricane prevention methods. Hurricanes gain strength from condensation driven by warm surface water, which leads to greater wind speeds. Gates and his team plan to use a fleet of ships to cool warm surface water by mixing it with colder water from greater depths. They hope this will sap energy from growing storms, leading to weaker, less devastating hurricanes. The patent, which isn't expected to be approved for another 18 months, was submitted by C-REIT LLC, a sub-entity of an Intellectual Ventures and
I'm
an
not sure.
invention acquisition and development firm.
Not sure what happened. I have no idea what just happened. I don't even know if you guys are still here anymore. My system, the video just stopped, and it said that Facebook disconnected, and I don't really know what's happening now. If it's still there, if it's not there, if you guys are still there, I don't know. But I'm assuming I can you guys hear me or see me, or did that video play for you? I don't even know what exactly just took place. I r I have no idea. I'm trying to look here to see. Alright, well, I don't know if you guys are here or not, but I'm gonna play it again because I don't know if anyone saw it. I don't even know if you guys can see me. I've got this oh, well, thank you. You guys are there, and I appreciate it because I don't know what happened. My entire screen went blank, and it said something about maybe somebody reported me, and Facebook, it said was deleting my show, but I guess it's here. So you guys it did play and you guys saw it. Alright, well, then I guess we'll just go back to that. I don't know what happened. Talking about weather manipulation, you never know what might happen, right, when it comes to social media. So anyway, I'm just gonna carry on. I don't know what all is going on here. But if you guys did hear that video, then you will know that Bill Gates has a program. I didn't hear it or see it because my entire system went blank. But you know that Bill Gates has a program where he has I don't know if it's a ship, I don't really know exactly what type of system he has going, but vessels, I'm assuming, where they can churn the water and they can bring cold water up because if you've heard a lot of the reports about hurricanes, of course, you know that what causes the hurricane to be more intense is warm water. The warmer the water, the lower the pressure. The lower the pressure, the more intense a hurricane is. The cooler the water, the higher the pressure, the less intense. So Bill Gates has a plan to bring cooler water up from the bottom of the ocean up to the top of the surface, which will cool the water, of course, overall. That will raise the pressure, it will lower the intensity of the storm. So, I think the obvious here is that if and that is called weather manipulation, that if Bill Gates can manipulate a hurricane by cooling the water, slowing it down, building that pressure, then they can also make a hurricane more tense, more intense by heating the water more than it already is, causing the pressure to lower and in turn creating a more severe storm. Because so many of the people that I've talked to when it comes to weather manipulation have said it's not that they think that weather was manipulated to create the storm. They feel that weather was manipulated to make the storm more intense. And that would be the case with both Helene and Milton, according to folks who talk about weather manipulation. I'm sure you guys have seen some of those videos and know who they are. And if I mention them, they're going to delete me for sure. They probably already will. So, yes, don't people cannot say that there's no such thing as weather manipulation or cloud seeding. You cannot tell me that weather manipulation also isn't a couldn't be used as a weapon. Surely they can weaponize the weather against us. Of course they can. Our own government and other governments. If the United Arab Emirates can create enough rain to cause the desert to become a tropical rainforest, then what does that tell you that they can do with our weather? And not to mention some of the more truthful meteorologists out there who will tell us, okay, they'll say, well, look at this radar. And I'm sure you guys have seen these different meteorologists and the things they talk about. They'll say, well, this is not a storm. It looks like a storm, but it's chaff. It's, something that the military is is using. And they'll talk about different things they're seeing that are not weather related, but it looks like weather relation on the radar. So you can't tell me, you cannot tell me that we don't have the ability to manipulate the weather and make a storm more severe than it normally would be. You can't tell me that can't happen. You can't tell me that we can't cloud seed and cause more rain in an area where there typically wouldn't be rain, because I would never believe you. And if anyone tells you that you are crazy because you think that weather manipulation is a thing and that our government could use it against us, let's remind them that our government in the past has used Agent Orange against us, right? Especially if you're here from St. Louis. If you're in the St. Louis area, then you know that Agent Orange was sprayed on the population of St. Louis back, what was it, the 50s, 60s? I know my grandpa used to talk about it, who, by the way, had cancer, as did many other people. And Dottie says they call it weather moderation. You know what I call it? Terrorism is what I call it, terrorism. And I absolutely do believe they have their little hands on those controls manipulating our weather. So don't let people tell you that it's not true. And also, don't let people tell you that what you see on social media is not true. If you see a firsthand account, somebody who is there, it's obvious they're there and they're talking about their life and what they've lost and what's happening in their community around them. Those are the people you believe. I don't e maybe you guys know. I don't even understand why the Biden-Harris administration wants us to believe that Helene was anything different than what it is. Why are they trying to hide the number of missing? Why are they trying to hide what actually happened in these communities? And why are they lying and telling us that all of the people that are up in those mountains have been found and rescued? And not, of course, not the number of people they do consider missing, but they claim there's no one left, that they've been up there, they've been to every area, and they absolutely have not been. There are people right now, as we're sitting here talking, there are people up in those mountains right now who have not yet seen another soul, who cannot leave, who right now does not have food or water or power or anything else. So don't let them tell you that that's not the case. They are not doing enough. Now, I know that Biden announced, I think it was yesterday, that they're bringing in 1,000, active duty troops into the mountains there around North Carolina. But it's not enough, and it's too late. They knew this storm was coming. They knew what was gonna happen, and, I have no doubt that they probably caused it, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that, but it does not surprise me at all. Allison says, "There are companies in the US that advertise." Yes, they're for cloud seeding. Yes, there absolutely are. Gosselin says, "Off point, but watch Whitmer's latest video feeding Doritos." Nothing with Whitmer surprises me. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at all surprises me, period. It just doesn't. And thank God, up in the mountains that we have these people who have come out to help, citizens helping other citizens. And if there's anyone who knows the mountains, it is the people who live there, because they know who the people are. They know where the little hidden homes are. They know, who they see coming up and down their mountain. So those people are looking out for each other. I just read a story the other day and I shared it on social media. It was about a guy who said that no one came, to help his girlfriend. She was at her home up in the mountains. He was somewhere with his kids, and her dad had to go up into the mountains to rescue her. Her dad and a friend went up into the mountains and camped out while they looked for her in her home, because the entire landscape is different. Nothing looks like it once did. And when they found her, she was in really bad shape. She had no food, no water. She was near death, and thank God they found her. If you guys watch the show that Dr. Phil was on, trust me, I'm no fan of Dr. Phil, but there is a video of Dr. Phil and a crew going up a mountain, and this little lady walked out that reminded me like my own little grandma, and she walked out and she was very timid and asking, for help, and she just had heart surgery. I'm sure some of you guys probably seen this video. She just had heart surgery 2 weeks before. Here she is up in the mountains. She has no water, no food, no electricity. She hasn't eaten, I think they said 8 days. something like that. She hadn't had food or water, and thank God they were able to help this person. Now think about all of the people that are up there that no one has even reached as of yet. And, you can't think that everybody knows what's going on because there are people up there in those mountains that they don't even have television. They don't have the faintest clue what's going on. I read a story about a woman who is deaf, who lives up in the mountains, and her friends were looking for her. And this woman had they did find her, and thank God she was safe and, didn't have any serious damage. Her power was out. This woman didn't even know there was a storm. I mean, it just goes to show you really just don't know what people do know and what people don't know. So anyway, I wanted to make sure I talked about that because you're not crazy. If you think that weather manipulation could have taken place here, yes, it could have. Did it? We don't know. We'll never know. But don't let people tell you that you're crazy or that it can't happen because it certainly can happen. So I wanted to talk about that, and I want to show this little video of you. This is from a somebody who's actually on the scene, and they are helping, and they're talking. I don't know if I'm gonna play the whole video, but they're talking about in this particular school district, there's 263 kids missing, or it was 163 kids missing just from the school district. Maybe it'll play. Who knows?
Landslides destroyed our entire neighborhood, like, gatherings of homes. The lady here was actually just telling me that they still have 163 kids in the school that are unaccounted for. And this area looks like it's really well supported, really well off. They have gasoline, they have the National Guard, but we still have storms.
And this is what I'm talking about. Disaster rate. We're sending money to the rich and the powerful overseas when where it will put in place a plan to deal with disaster. It shouldn't.
I think the delay
delay
and federal
federal
response
response
created
created
a vacuum
vacuum
that
that
the
the
community just
community
needed to
just
fill
needs to
with
with
support and
support and
supplies
supplies
and
and
everything that people
everything
need,
people need,
even
even
rescue and
rescue
recovery
and
equipment.
recovery
What day
equipment.
did
What
you
did
come up here
come here
first?
first?
How soon
How
after?
soon?
Sunday we were in
We
Akron.
were
So Sunday,
the
2 days
Sunday
after?
days
Yeah.
Oh
after.
wow.
Oh wow.
So
So what
what has
what
been
has been
the biggest
the biggest
difference
difference
that you've
All
seen
right, I hear
Then and
the echo
now.
too. I don't
then and
know
now?
why
Yeah.
that is,
So
but I don't want to torture you guys with that crazy echo. She goes on to talk about the disaster relief, how she's, of course, very teary-eyed and upset and emotional because she says there's 163 children in one school district. She goes on to talk about how there are entire neighborhoods that are just gone. Their houses are gone. Those people are not there anymore. Their houses are not there anymore now. Of course, they're probably gonna find some of these, children safe and well that just haven't checked in, they haven't identified, but there will be a lot that they don't find. So I just want to throw that in there because I don't think that our government has handled this this situation in the appropriate way that they should have. I think there's a lot of people who need help who are not getting help. And I think that a lot of the stories we hear on social media are actually true. I know I heard firsthand from someone who told me that there are a lot of issues with people bringing in supplies. There are people being carjacked, there are people being robbed, they're having their tires slashed, with their assistance that they're bringing. Who is doing it? I don't know. Is it citizens? I think we all know what happens in a disaster situation. People are desperate, and yes, they will rob you. They will steal from you. They will do anything they can to get a case of water. That's just how these situations are. A lot of us have played this out in our heads for how long now? And it's actually happening. There's a guy who told me he's down in the Valdosta area of Georgia that he and his neighbors have formed a little community pact where they're guarding their streets because there were people who were coming into these different neighborhoods stealing water, food, anything they could get. I think and don't think that, okay, we're a couple weeks past, this stuff isn't happening anymore. It is, because these people in these areas still don't have power. A lot of these grocery stores still only accept cash. Think about that. When we were down there, Ingles is one of the largest grocery stores in the area. And Ingles, their headquarters is in Asheville. So from what I understand, their headquarters suffered severe damage. And because of that, their systems were not up and running. And so therefore, if you wanted groceries, you had to have cash. Power was out, and even in places we went where the power wasn't out, the computer systems were out. The systems that would process credit card payments were out, and you had no choice but to use cash. Thank God for the day before the storm, my son went and I went to the ATM and took out as much cash as we could because you just don't know. So just think when of course, they want to take us to these cashless systems. I think we all know where that's going to take us. So anyway, I know we've talked about the storm, what, for about an hour now, probably too long, probably boring you guys. But I want to make sure you know that don't think, don't let Biden and Harris tell you who you can and cannot listen to. Don't let them gaslight you. Don't let people tell you that this couldn't possibly be weather manipulation because that's what they want to do. They just want to intimidate you. But the other thing I wanted to get into, of course, was Elon Musk. Elon Musk founded America PAC. America PAC is who had us out canvassing, us and thousands of other people out canvassing across the battleground states. And what you guys, I posted on social media, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but also what Elon Musk has said is that how can we win? Because, no matter how many votes we get, what they're doing, them being Democrats, being the Harris Biden administration, they are just all they're doing is moving illegals from one area to another. So as the Biden Harris campaign gets a better understanding of what areas are voting for Trump versus Harris, what they're allegedly doing, according to Elon Musk, is that they are moving illegals into these areas in large numbers and they are giving them amnesty so that they have the ability to vote. So for every vote we make, they're just canceling out our vote with illegals. I mean, it is absolutely insane. You wouldn't even think this could be happening, but I do believe it's happening. I absolutely do believe it's happening. And they're doing it in all of the battleground states. They're doing it county to county. And it really worries me because then I think, well, can we win? Is there any way we can possibly win? We have to do our best. And I hope that everyone is going to go out and cast their vote. If you can, vote early. Vote as early as you possibly can. If you can vote absentee, do so. If you're not home and you can't vote at the polls, vote absentee. But if you can, check out wherever you might be, check out your local laws. And I know most of the time we don't like to vote early, but if you go to americapac.com, you can go and you can check out the voter rules for your area. They will let you know how you can vote absentee, how you can vote in person, what you can vote, when your early voting starts in Georgia. Early voting starts October 15th. I'm not sure about your area or where you are, but do what you can and get out and get the vote out. Go out and make sure, if you want to do your part, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your children, anyone of voting age, and make sure they do go out and vote. It is so simple to cast your vote these days. There are still places that are ordering, allowing, I should say, mail-in ballots. And take advantage of any opportunity you can to get your community members out to vote because I'm telling you, we need every vote we can get. I know and you know that we are the majority. We absolutely are the majority. There are more Trump supporters, more conservatives like us in the United States than there are Democrat voters. There's no question in my mind that that is the case. We are absolutely the majority. They don't want us to know that. They don't want us to believe that. And Trump is actually leading in many polls, of course, and that has them a little bit scared. But the only way we're going to win this is if we get out the vote. And the only way we're going to be able to prove that we had the vote is to get out and vote early. Get out and vote early. Because if you get out and vote early, there's ways that your vote can be tracked. If you wait until election day, then it's up to the machines. Who knows what's going to happen if you wait until election day? Get out, cast your vote as early as you can. Get everyone else to do with you also. Jack Cox. Republicans haven't won the popular vote in 30 years. Well, Jack, of course, I would leave it up to you to say that, and you are wrong. We are the majority. We do know that a lot of people don't vote, but you know what? We're we're finding ways to get the vote out. That's why we're here, and thank God to Elon Musk for putting in the money, millions of dollars into America PAC to get the vote out for Donald Trump. And Elon Musk, outside of this presidential, election coming up, this federal election, he is also working on other campaigns. I'm not going to get into that right now, but he is doing the right thing. So don't think he's not. If you have an opportunity, go out and thank Elon Musk for creating America PAC and for getting the vote out for Donald Trump. Because I'll tell you, we're going to owe this guy. I mean, he is hands on. He is very involved. This is not a side project. This is something he cares about, and that is saving our country. But I thought this was interesting because he also cares about robots. And I don't know if you guys saw any of the video from We Robot. I'm gonna play a couple of videos right now. It's kind of off topic of some of the things we're talking about. But since we're talking about Elon Musk, what I do think about what's great about these robots that he's invented and these cars, as a matter of fact, I don't have a video of the car, but he has these new taxis that are coming out, like an I know I can't say it right, atomic taxi, where it's completely auto driven. Now you have to have a person there just in case something crazy might happen. You have to take over the controls. But he's going to be offering these new taxis for under $30,000. And his goal is that every person can have an autonomous vehicle. So you can have a vehicle where you can get into it. It'll take you up to the grocery store. It'll take you all the way across the country on vacation at the press of a button for under $30,000. I thought that was pretty interesting. And they're pretty neat looking cars too. But I want to show you some of these robots that were unveiled, these Elon Musk robots at We Robot. It's fascinating. I don't find it scary, but I think it's interesting. Here's a video of one of these robots mixing up some cocktails.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it. Little video. Hey. Sweet. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Of course, anytime. All right. How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
Peace, everybody.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's
I
their
love the
robot.
change. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
All right. Then step right up.
Can I have a watermelon for burrito?
A watermelon?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Hey, what's up?
All right, that's one video. Here's another one.
It's insane. It's even talking.
I don't know why some videos are echoing.
Right here. How are you? That's crazy. I'm talking to a robot. From San Jose. Probably from where you were born in Silicon Valley.
Where do you live in San Jose?
Well,
Mountain Valley? Or do you
no, I live in Los Gatos.
Los Gatos? Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So those are some of Elon Musk's robots. I was kind of curious what you guys might think of that. Though they are definitely robots. There's not a human in there. Now, whether there are humans controlling them from afar, I don't know. But it's pretty interesting because they interact like people. They talk like people. And I don't know if I'm 100% against it or for it. I wouldn't mind having a robot at the house to do some cooking and cleaning. I think we could all use that. But Elon Musk, that's exactly what his vision is, for the world, is that you will have a robot. It's not AI in the same way that the AI is going to take over the world, but these are robots where you can ask them to cook dinner. You can ask them to clean your house. They can do, different types of tasks for you. They can do work for you. There's so many different things. I read the list of different things that these robots are capable of doing, and it is really wild. It's really revolutionary. So I know not everybody is on the bandwagon with robots and AI and that type of thing, but I think it's kind of neat. But let me think. I think that's about all I was planning on talking about today. I didn't write any notes down. If there was anything else, I don't remember. So if there's anything you guys want to talk about, you have a couple seconds to remind me. But I don't know what's going to happen. if I head back out to Georgia on Sunday, then I will try to do my best to get some shows in, even if it's just like I did a couple times from the road with my cell phone, just try to get some information out there. But the point of me being there is to get out the vote, and that is to get out every single vote. We need every vote we can get. And even though I might be going there in person, and I'm so thankful that I have the ability to do so, you can do the same thing. There are so many different things you can do. You don't have to leave your home. All you have to do is reach out to your family members, to your children, to your community members, and let them know that so many people think, and I've been one of these people, they think that their vote doesn't count, that your vote does not matter. But in this election, it does matter. Your early vote matters. Get out and vote as early as you can. That's the biggest message I can possibly give you because then let's say when Harris wins, and I do think Harris will win, just so you know. That's unfortunately my opinion is that Harris will win. And Harris will win because they're going to do anything they can to make sure she wins. Anything. There is no way in a million years that she has the popular vote or any vote for that matter, but yet she will win because they will find a way to cheat, lie, and steal to get her this nomination, to get her into the White House, to get her into the presidential role. You know that. I know that. And it's going to happen. There's no question about it. But you know what? There will be a time when we're going back and we're trying to prove what they did. And if you can get out and get that early vote out, we will have at least some amount of proof to be able to come back at them. You didn't hear that from me. But we'll talk about it next time. I hate to run, but I must. I've got a bazillion things I have to do. But hopefully I will see you guys next week. I will hopefully I remember to talk about everything I was going to talk about. It's been one of those crazy days today, and I just want to throw something out there, talk a little bit about weather manipulation, talk a little bit about the response, the hurricane response, which has been um, some help is better than no help, but no, the Biden Harris regime did not step up. We didn't expect them to step up, and I can guarantee you, had Trump been our president right now, he would have had everything all lined out. As a matter of fact, if you guys can recall, he was actually in North Carolina. He was in Georgia long before Biden and Harris on the ground. What did Biden do? He toured from a helicopter. Well, Trump was on the ground. So don't forget that. Make sure you get that vote out. But I'll be talking to you guys before then. I hope all of you have a really great day. And again, I am Tabitha Hassell.